Ladies and gentlemen, we are back with another TheMMATakeover.com interview. My name is Keith Schillen. Today's guest is a former Ultimate Fighter season winner. He has 13 wins with only one loss, and he's 5-1 in the UFC. He returns to the octagon at Ultimate Fighter season 25 finale on July 7th when he takes on Brad Tavares. Ladies and gentlemen, it's Elias Theodorou. Elias, how you doing, brother?
I'm fantastic.
I'm glad that you came on. I appreciate you taking the time out. I know you're very busy. You're closing down your training camp. So I appreciate just taking some time and having our listeners get to know you a little bit.
Hey, my pleasure. Glad to be here.
So the first thing we always ask people, and I know you've been in the sport for a while now. Obviously, you're making your seventh appearance in the UFC. That's not even counting the fights on the Ultimate Fighter show. But I always like to hear it again. How'd you get into mixed martial arts?
Well, I guess I am a little bit of a late bloomer. I didn't start till my first year of university. I was enlightening the mind. I thought the body should follow. And soon I realized they were intertwined. I fell in love with mixed martial arts, and I kind of never looked back. I guess a little caveat, I went to school for advertising.
Okay.
And in many ways, I'm advertising the brand that is myself.
There you go. So you can know little secrets. I'm going to have to ask you some little, I might just change how this whole interview goes so I can get some tips from you how to advertise our site better.
For sure.
Yeah. So, obviously the nickname the Spartan, how'd you get that one?
One of my first coaches, he was Greek, from Crete specifically, and basically when I first walked in the door, I didn't have much knowledge in fighting,
Yeah.
but I never gave up. So he basically said I embraced the real Spartan, way of life in the sense of never surrender, never quitting, but always learning, growing, and basically trying to be better. So that's kind of how it worked out, and it stuck.
And how come they haven't matched you with someone with the nickname the Trojan yet? Kind of get that battle going.
And it also helps the fact that I'm actually Greek. There's a couple other Spartans, I think. I'd like to call them faux Spartans.
Okay.
But again, there can only be one like Highlander. Although I never ended up fighting the other Spartan in 185. I don't think I ever will because he's like 1-3. Again, it shows I am the Spartan.
Okay. I mean, it's a common nickname, but it's not as bad as the Pitbull. It seems like everybody is the Pitbull. All right, so I want to talk about your last fight. Obviously, I don't know if this is the biggest win. I mean, it's kind of debatable between that and Sam Alvey, obviously the two big names. You fought Cesar Ferreira, Mutante, better known as. It was a very close fight. It was a back-and-forth fight. What really surprised me is when, because us in the media, we always try to pretend to be experts when it comes to fighting.
Yeah.
And I'm sure you get that in Twitter. You should have did this. You should have did that. And of course, me sitting on my couch knows more than what you should do. Of course. The way it kind of was advertised was kind of striker versus grappler. You're really known for movement. You got really good kicks. You have really good striking. And Mutante is known for his Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu. And what really surprised me, there was moments where you were really winning the grappling, and there was moments where he was landing a left hand on you. So going back to that fight, did you expect the fight to go like that?
Well, I guess in many ways I just expect the unexpected. I think I am a jack of all trades, a master of none, just by pure default from the fact that I have no background in mixed martial arts. I just kind of jumped into it, like I said, at the age of 21, I believe.
Yeah.
So in many ways, not to be cliche, I like to be like water. So it surprised me in a sense, yes-ish, but more the fact that I think I just have to evolve or die. That's how mixed martial arts is. Again, there are many different weapons and many different ways to skin a cat. I think the only reason why he was the striker, even though I out-punched him and kicked him, I think but 80-11 didn't really do much.
Yeah. No. I'm sorry. I don't misinterpret me. I wasn't saying that he was winning the striking. I'm just saying I was surprised that he came out striking in the first round, and then I was really surprised at one point you actually initiated a takedown, which that was really surprised me.
Yeah, no, well, again, I I think I kind of just go with the flow. It took me about a round to get into my kind of get into my groove. I didn't prior to that. I hadn't fought in about 8 months, so I think there was about a little bit of cobwebs, not in the sense that he hurt me or anything, just in the idea of getting back into the swing of things. I knew, it's funny. I knew most of his strikes actually came from his left side because he is a lefty.
Yep.
And it was kind of the case of don't look at the left hand, don't look at the left hand, and all I was doing was looking at the left hand.
Yeah.
So again, I really think the big difference is the game of attrition. I think that once the initial punch and kick that he landed in a couple of trips, I think my cardio and my pace just proved too much to him, and I think I broke him mentally. In addition to the some of the mind games that I played with him, I think he is different than me, where I just look at it as a job. I look at it as my passion, obviously, but there's no actual animosity to the person in front of me. Where I think he is very much of the old school notion where you have to hate your enemy, I think that played to his detriment. I think second round he was pretty much tanked, and also the fun caveat in the sense that I gave him the cake. It was his birthday. I tried to shake his hand. Throughout the week, I saw him. There's a couple times where he was trying to look down at me, and I was like, when he was with his whole crew, and I just walked up by myself. I was like, hey, heard it's your birthday. Happy birthday. Wishing you nothing but the best for the rest of the fight, and blah, 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 blah. And it just took him at awe. He was just so caught off guard from it. And even to the point where he was a little disheveled after the weigh-ins, and I tried to help him with the process. There was basically a lineup or whatever, like an order to do, and he was along the lines of he basically said, bro, I'm not here to be your friend. I'm here to break your face. And I think the irony being that he actually broke his hand off my face instead of instead. So again, he wanted to break my face, but my face broke him.
Yeah, there's a little bit of face, a little bit of break-in, but not the way he wanted it.
A whole lot of irony.
Yeah. So do you think any of that's going to happen with Tavares? Any weird mind games? Any like, do you expect him to get in your face? Anything like that?
Elias has a whole lot of stuff planned, and my apologies for just talking third person. But no, I have quite a bit planned. I got a couple cool things rolling out this weekend.
Okay.
So stay tuned for that. Yeah. And I already think I'm kind of in his mind. I without even trying. He hasn't fought since September. He's the one that's been knocked out. He's been caught a bunch of times, and he's been the one that's lost fights that he's been winning. Whether you look at the Bosch fight, obviously with Whitaker, he got caught. And then you can go all the way back to his fight with, I'm drawing a blank here, for the Ultimate Fighter in the semifinals against Court McGee. That's who it is. Who's a 170-er, mind you. And he got caught and was rocked. He kind of joked about me not having much punching power. Then again, I have many different weapons to my arsenal. I've also broke a man's hand in half with a kick, and also the sheer fact that I have more finishes than he does. I think he's a decision maker. Not that there's anything wrong with it. Getting a win is a win. He has notable wins off of, again, another 170. Lorenz Larkin, Nate Marquardt, which is his biggest signature win, and his last knockout is Phil Baroni. So.
Sorry, I didn't mean to laugh there.
Fight against Phil Baroni, but he's now a 150er. Now he's a 155er, not on maybe the same Mexican supplements as he once was. So again, if he wants to take apart my record, it's much easier to take apart his. I would also throw in the fact that, again, his biggest losses are to welcoming Yoel Romero to the UFC, Rob Whitaker to middleweight, and then Bosch, who, Tim Bosch is going to Tim Bosch. The second or third round, or he'll get the crap that beat out of him the whole fight, and then just uppercut you twice to finish it. So I have no slight against him on that. And I did bring up the fact that he hasn't fought since September. One might look at that as ring rust. I would look at that as ring rust, as I just described, with my 8 months. His will be almost a year, just a month removed from a year. So he hasn't fought in 11 months. But at the same time, he could have used that to heal up.
Sure.
So,
yep.
Again, I'm obviously not looking... It's not an easy fight. He comes to bang. He either wants to use his Ray Saffo kickboxing style to use volume like he did in Nate Marquardt, or the positive stuff that happened with Yoel Romero, where he was able to take him to go to a decision with them and fight off a lot of the takedowns off of arguably the best wrestler in the UFC.
Yeah.
And then he also overpowered Tim Bosch until he got caught in the second round. But again, that's Tim Bosch is going to Tim Bosch.
Yeah. So when this matchup was offered to you, is it one that you wanted? Because sometimes the guy's like, all right, I want this guy or that guy. I mean, were you happy with this being offered to you, or were you looking for somebody else?
No, I was looking for someone else. I was trying to fight Rashad Evans. But whether it was the UFC or his management didn't want me to fight him, because again, I guess he didn't, I think it's more of a matchup style. I think Rashad doesn't understand how to fight me. Instead, they offered under the same management, who Brad is under the same management. So they offered Brad instead. And I said, yes, he's a game opponent. He's a tough guy. He's another prospect. I thought, there was a reshuffling of the deck, whether it's with Calvin Gastelum, who was just taken off of it because of his failed drug test, although it's not a drug test. He had marijuana in his system. The point I'm trying to say is there was a shuffle in the deck, so now I'm technically top 15. And mind you, once I beat Brad Tavares, I think I've earned my spot in the top 15, or very close in there. I thought the matchup were both many ways prospects, so whoever wins this deserves to be in the top 15. It just kind of showed that I should be there anyways. Slow and steady wins the race. I'm not, again, I'm only been doing mixed martial arts in any capacity for 8 years, and 5 of those I've been professional.
Yeah.
So I'm going to use a Canadian reference here. I went from pond hockey to the NHL in just a matter of years. And again, to be 15th best in the world at the moment, whether by default or not, default, the greatest words in the English dictionary. But I digress. The point being, there's a reason why. My only loss was my first bad day at work. I had arguably a very close fight. I think one of the things that obviously that's motivating me for a finish is the fact that I thought it was bad judging that the fight was a loss. I think the first round I won. The third round he won. And it was kind of a 10-10 or a 9-9, I forget how it technically is, in the second round. I think we kind of nulled each other out, which would have meant a draw. But instead, the judges gave me a 10-8. 2 judges gave me a 10-8, which I don't agree with because of the fact that I never, under the same rules, I never dropped. I kept on pushing the pace and pushing forward. Mind you, he hit me a lot. But if you look at the video, because of my hair, it just exaggerated the actual attack. Many of those punches never actually made contact with my head rather than my hand. And also throw in the fact that he was on a 5-fight win, or he went on to go on a 5-fight win, where I was the only one he didn't knock out dead. Again, Brad has knockout losses. His chin, in many ways, could be called into question, where mine isn't. I only have one blemish on my record, and only one time that I wasn't able to go for a run the next day. And mind you, part of that might have been the fact that it was more my ego, or not my ego, maybe a little bit of that. But it was more just, my first loss and just dealing with it. And even then, I was out on a treadmill, still with stitches in, because he did open me up, and at no point did I quit in the fight.
Yeah.
I think I don't have that background in martial arts, but at the same time, I haven't had my bell rung at all. I have all the tickets. Many people have said in the past, you don't know how many tickets everyone has, and luckily I have all my tickets.
Yeah.
So in a game of attrition, whether it's physically, mentally, or even chinny, I guess, I think I beat Brad.
Okay. Just so people listening at home, just in case you weren't following, when you were talking about your loss, you were talking about your fight against Thiago Santos. You never said his name. I just want to anybody who's listening at home, that was a very close fight against Thiago Santos. We actually got into it once on Twitter. I was kind of jabbing you a little bit because you were dissing my boy Sam Alvey. You probably don't remember. I know you go back and forth, and you were dissing my boy Sam Alvey, so I had to give it back to you. But you were very gracious. So let me ask you a question. You're about a little over 2 weeks away. How's the weight doing, man?
Great. As cliche as it's going to sound, best weight cut ever.
Okay. Yeah.
No, I'm a professional. I'm one of the bigger, if not one of the biggest middleweights in the division. I walk around 220.
Wow.
And I am bigger than some light heavyweights. For instance, one of my pals, Misha Serganov, I'm heavier than him out of camp. Just to put in perspective, it's just the frame of myself. I'm 6'1". Most light heavyweights are a little bit taller.
Yeah.
The reach is a little bit longer. I still have decent reach. I have 77-inch reach. But at the same time, dealing with Jones's, 81, it doesn't make sense.
Yeah, of course.
But at the same time, like I said, I'm a professional. I have a great team behind me. First with one of my longtime friends and coaches, Lachlan Chang, and then also recently someone that's from Long Island, Tony Ricci, who is my performance coach. He's worked with many different MMA fighters, John to Chris Weidman, and boxers all around. I think Algerio. They do a bunch of different stuff for a podcast that Tony's a part of with Everlast or whatever. But he's an amazing nutritionist coach, performance coach in general. And one of the interesting things we've been able to add is just science with Tony's addition. We have a heart monitor that I basically use in training and also sleep. And we've been able to find actually a little bit of an anomaly. My resting heart rate when I sleep is actually 37.
Okay. Wow.
Which is, to put in perspective, in the peak of his performance, Lance Armstrong was 33 beats per minute while he slept. And I'm also 60 pounds heavier than him and none of the steroids. So
there you go.
Just to put in perspective, which carries over into obviously the recovery rate in the round. I don't really go much higher than 140, 150 beats per minute in sparring, and then I'm able to have pretty much a 50% recovery rate in just a short minute. And that means, again, it just emphasizes the component of the mental state. Mm-hmm. There's nothing I can do in 15 minutes that will tire me in a fight. Mm-hmm. It's all mental. Rather, there's nothing I can do physically that will tire me in 50 minutes. It's all mental.
Gotcha.
And I think that showed with, my Bruno Santos fight, if you want to go back there, where, again, I'm a little bit of a late starter. But at the same time, I pull away in the second and third. We've been working on the components of the first round. Specifically, we've been Shark Tanking me a lot, which again messes with both the physical and the mental component. Considering I have 3 fresh guys every minute switching in and sparring, because that's the only way that I'm really challenged in many ways.
Yeah.
the fact that, I might be dealing with a primary striker or a primarily wrestler or something in between
Yeah.
every single round and all those different looks.
Yep.
I'm ready for anything Brad dishes out for me.
And they're coming in, they're fresh because they keep going in and out, and so they're coming 100% at you while your body is probably, taking the toll of having, you get one guy, next guy, next guy, and they're coming fresh, and you
Exactly.
haven't taken a break.
No, and sometimes we even skip breaks in between the rounds. I go 15 minutes, 15-minute Shark Tank with 15 different swaps every minute.
Wow.
So just in the fact that I am not taking a break for 15 minutes, there's been some discussion about, whether Pride versus rounds versus the UFC. I would much prefer Pride rounds because in 10 minutes, I guarantee you I could be champion.
Wow.
In a 10-minute round, I guarantee you I could be champion.
Okay. Are you still working with Triforce?
Pardon?
Are you still? I'm sorry. Are you still working with TriStar? I'm sorry. Are you still working with TriStar?
Yeah, that's right.
No, I'm sorry. There's actually a local gym right down the street that's named Triforce. It's like the big gym where I'm from, and
cool.
I know. So I just gave them a cheap plug. So anybody go check out Triforce. But TriStar. I'm sorry, TriStar with for us a hobby. Okay. I know because I've seen them in your corner recently. I was just wondering because sometimes guys they leave and they go to different teams and it's hard to keep track of who's where and. So one thing I always got to tell you, I always I like to reach out to people and say, hey, I'm talking to this guy, I'm going to talk to that guy, and the first thing I said, I'm talking to Elias. I said, hey, talk about his hair, and you already brought it up. So you've said in the past that you have the best hair in mixed martial arts. So my question to you is, who has the second best hair?
Ooh, Holly Holmes. Holly Holmes.
Okay. Well, she's got a lot of good things besides her hair.
This is also true, but what's called? I would say she is my female contemporary in the in hair. I definitely she definitely has great hair.
Okay, yeah, I mean she grows it. It's like all the way down to her ass. Would you ever grow your hair that long?
It's going. I'm actually in the process of growing it. Very, very long. The idea is, shameless plug, I'm actually not only the owner of the best hair in the UFC, and I would argue the owner of the best hair in combat sports, period.
Okay.
I have the sponsor to match it, PERT. I am the North American PERT influencer, brand ambassador, and the game plan is to actually grow my hair quite a bit longer and actually donate it for a great cause.
Oh, really?
So I'm not gonna shave my head. That's why I'm growing it so long. I already have enough hair to donate, but I'm gonna grow it long enough that I could actually just give it a good trim and cut 8 inches off and still have some flocks to flow.
Yeah. What's the organization?
That's what we're working on now. There's a couple of basically one of my other sponsors, Tribeca Finance Corporation. They're the largest secondary lender in all of Toronto. They have a charity that they basically have where that's dear to them through the president, and they have done great work, and they do hundreds and hundreds of thousands of dollars in basically charity funds that they do every single year. So whether it's working directly through them, whether it's through them through a partner, we'll figure something out.
Yeah, no, that's very cool. One thing we talked about off the air, I kind of told you about our website a little bit, and one thing I'm extremely proud of, the very first thing we ever did for the website, we kicked it off with a bang. Me and another guy on our staff, Dave Stewart, we did this thing, we called it 12 hours of MMA talk, and what we did is we did a GoFundMe, and we said, hey, we'll do it like a marathon. You have people who will run a certain distance for, if you donate so much money, and we did that. We did 12 straight hours MMA talk where all the money raised we were given to the Jimmy Fund, which is a local hospital that deals with men and women and especially children that are dealing with cancer. So we got to raise our very first day. We raised over $500 for the Jimmy Fund. We were really, really proud. And me and Dave, we spoke 12 straight hours of talking MMA talk. It was live on YouTube, And it's still it was a really proud moment. And what was really cool is we were nobody. I mean, we didn't even have a following yet, and we were able to actually get a couple fighters, including Mark Coleman, a UFC Hall of Famer, Sam Alvey, one of your former opponents, and a couple other guys. So it was really cool. So it's cool that you're doing something like that, man. That's very cool.
Yeah, so well, and kudos back at you. Again, giving back in any capacity is always rewarding, but most importantly, it for a better cause. There's a reason altruism is such a great and noble cause.
So you're a very successful model. Do you get recognized more for your modeling or for your fighting?
Pardon? Repeat that one more time.
I'm saying you're very, you're doing a lot of things. Obviously, you're also a model. You kind of mentioned that with the hair and different things. Do you get recognized more in the public by fighting, or do more people recognize you as a model? Like, hey, I saw you on the book, or I saw you on a billboard, or something like that.
Well, no, definitely a fighter. Obviously, for instance, Montreal's a huge fight fan town.
Sure.
So it's interesting just to kind of walk the streets both of Toronto and Montreal, and fans and people alike, want to take a picture, want to talk about my next fight or another fight, and it's nothing but love. So I'm definitely a fighter first, and all the other stuff, just add to basically the man, the myth, the hair of Elias Theodorou.
All right. Your priorities because is fighting first and then modeling, acting, all that stuff afterwards, correct?
Yeah, for sure.
Okay. No, the reason why I asked that is I noticed that Todd Grisham and Brian Stan kind of mentioned that in your last fight, and they kind of mentioned like, hey, some people have challenged, how committed is he if he's able to do all these things. What's your response to that?
Yeah, no, I think there's 24 hours in a day, and I think anyone that can't do, two things at once are either lazy, or or they, have a family. That's the difference. I am in a relationship. I have a beautiful girlfriend. Obviously, the strains of being afar from her suck, but we have a goal together. She works really hard too.
Yeah.
The other difference being that there are 24 hours in a day, like I said. I only have to be a professional athlete 2 hours a day, or 2 times for 2 hours a session. That's 4 hours.
Yep.
Throw in 8 hours of sleep. You still have plenty of the day.
Still got 12 hours.
I'm very active in regards to my, again, not everyone has the advertising degree that I have, so they can't really, talk to major brands in partnership with their management. I'm with Paradigm. We have a great relationship. We work together. We're partners in regards to shaping my career. In many ways, for lack of a better word, I'm the good cop, and they're the not bad cop, but they're the the people that do the dealing with the numbers. I'm the ideas guy, and that's kind of how I was in regards to schooling. I did in advertising. There is the creative who does the graphic design, the concept, and and then there's also the people that deal with either the copy in some sense, or even the account manager. And I think that's what Paradigm's role as a manager is. And they've been really good in regards to shaping my career. For I think this will be the 4th fight with them, and everything that we've been working on. I think anyone that doesn't believe that you can walk and chew gum, you're doing it wrong.
I mean, obviously, you see guys out there that putting themselves out to get themselves some dollars. Obviously, that's not the NFL where you get one contract and you're set for life. So, I mean, I got no issue with you branding yourself, and I think other fights should be doing the same.
For sure. This is athletics in general is a finite resource, and if you don't squeeze the lemon for all it's worth and walk away with a couple $1 million, you did everything wrong.
Yeah. So one thing, before I let you get out of here, one thing we always like to do is probably our most popular part of the interview is predictions. Everyone loves the predictions, so we always like to get the fighters. Your fight, the main event, is Michael Johnson. He's taking on Justin Gaethje straight over from World Series fighting. Do you have a prediction on that fight?
Yeah, well, it's going to be an interesting fight. Obviously, one thing that everyone wants to kind of see going in is any type of UFC jitters. Justin has a intense uh, fight style. Also, the other thing, how long can someone do that? He's taken a lot of damage in the World Series of Fighting. Obviously, I want nothing but the best for him. And he's even said, like, he's going to basically in a couple of interviews, he's basically talked about riding until the wheels fall off in regards to his chin.
Yeah.
And he has a very tough opponent in front of him in regards to Michael. I think if he's able to put that pace, Justin would be able to prevail. But I think if Michael Johnson's able to establish his dominance early in, especially throwing in the UFC jitters, he can win too.
All right.
So that's not much of a prediction.
You're
picking between.
Yeah,
but
so
I give in two different scenarios of how I see both of how the fight could go.
Yeah, I was gonna say if you don't have the future of modeling doesn't work out or fighting, you could always become a politician with the way you played both sides.
Yeah, fair enough.
One other fight before I let you go, I want to get a prediction on the very next night. For the middleweight interim title is Yoel Romero and Robert Whitaker. Obviously, that's your weight class. I'm sure you got your eyes set on these guys. You probably want a piece at either one of them. So I got two-part question. My question is, who do you think's going to win? I need an answer. I want to hear who do you think's going to win. And then my second part is, how do you feel you match up against both those guys?
Yeah, against who? That either one of them next?
Yeah. I mean, all right, let's dream scenario. You're scheduled to fight the night before. All of a sudden, we'll say Robert Whitaker breaks his leg. Yoel Romero needs an opponent. They go, who's a middleweight that's ready? They say, hey, Theodorou's ready. He's fighting the night before. We'll cancel the Tavares fight and face Romero. So my question. If they actually do get to fight each other, who wins? And then how would you do in that scenario?
Yes. Again, I'm going to give you a politician answer at first, and then pick who. And then I will pick and settle who I think is going to win. I think Yoel has the best opportunity in the first two, whereas obviously with the style and just the question, one could question Yoel's ability to go all 5 rounds. And being a championship fight, I think Rob Whitaker, in regards to his style, would be best suited to win. So I'm going to pick Rob Whitaker.
All right.
And just also the age aspect too. Rob's only 26, and Yoel is by far one of the definitions of why the median age in the middleweight division is 36.
Yeah.
So 36.2, just to clarify. I've done the numbers, I've crunched it, and again, I think people like Rob and myself are the future, and I think Rob will show why he is the future. And then again, obviously, Yoel's the exception in every single aspect because of the fact of, just look at him. The guy's like 100, and he looks like that. He says he's 39 or whatever.
Yeah,
he's
59.
From the Dominican Republic. You know how they lie about their age all the time. Or no, Cuban. Sorry, my bad.
The Miguel Tejada, the Miguel Tejada move.
Pardon?
The Miguel Tejada, where they found out he was like the old baseball player. They found out he was like 5 years older than he was. Exactly.
He's probably 100. But at the same time, look at him. He looks like he's made from granite.
Yeah.
No, I really think Rob Whitaker is going to win. I think he is the future of the middleweight division. I think I'll compare myself against both. Obviously, the runner-up, Yoel. I think many ways our styles are very similar in regards to Rob Whitaker in the sense that we're unorthodox. Obviously, Rob is a little bit further ahead, or a lot further ahead, fighting for the inaugural or the interim belt. But I think Yoel in a championship bout, I think my pace would eventually take over in the 4th or 5th. Rob, obviously, he's young. He's tenacious. He has knockout power. He's had a renaissance in the middleweight division.
Sure.
He would be a very tough test. I think our styles would definitely kind of nullify each other, but at the same time, he obviously has the more punching power, where I think I could outgrind him out to get my hand raised. Obviously, entering the top 15, my eyes are on both of them, and I'm very intrigued to see how this ends.
All right, I got to get one more prediction. This one I need very specific. I need the winner. Well, obviously I know who the winner is, but I need the round and I need the method. How does your fight end?
You want the round. I think either the second or third round, I drown Brad Tavares with my tenacity, my volume, and my will to win.
All right, so there you have it. We have a lot of gamblers. Make sure you heard from Elias himself. Parlay Elias and Robert Whitaker. And, of course, he wasn't on the fence, so parlay a draw between Johnson and Gaethje, and you'll have a humongous mega payday.
There you go.
Hey, I'm gonna get you out of here. But hey, did that guy ever get the tattoo? The guy on Twitter?
Yeah, well, no. What's it called? He actually chickened out.
I don't blame him.
So that's a whole story in itself. So I bought the ticket and everything, and basically he's from, some small town in Ireland, and there's basically 2 layovers. So he took the first flight, and then they announced that there would be a 2 or 3 hour delay in some capacity because of, overcast or something like that. And he basically took it as an opportunity and said that it ruins the event or the event that I'm going to. I need to go back. He got me my money back, so I'm thankful for that. But he made this whole thing, I can't believe this is happening. Oh, no.
Yeah.
But I called the airline, and they said, no, he was really adamant that he could not wait the 3 hours. So, especially because I got him the day before the event, too, it does not make any sense. He's, whatever. He got me my money back, and I got my money back. So, just for checking up. But Dean Pascoe is not a man of his word. No. He definitely did not come. He, is saying that there was this big brouhaha and this wait, but I already, when he called me saying it was just so hilarious, because he was like, oh, I'm stuck here, like it's the worst thing ever. I talked to the airlines, and like, no, he already went home. He already flew back. And it's like, he's like just talking such BS that like, oh my God, that he posted on Twitter, oh my God, this is the worst thing ever, blah, 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 blah. But the joke's on him if he wants to prove this.
Yeah, that's right.
I am, if all goes well, I am actually going to be going to Europe shortly.
There you go.
So I will actually bring a cameraman to him. And the funny thing is, I actually, someone in Toronto, a fan in Toronto actually stepped up to the plate and got my Spartan emblem tattooed. We had an amazing night at a local club, Cube, and I basically decked him out with all my sponsors. It was amazing. It was an amazing, what do you call it, night. And Dean Pascoe really missed out. Okay. Although, like I said, I will give him another opportunity when I come to Europe.
Yep.
So there will be no excuses.
Dean is not a man. Claims. He's not a man of his word. Dean
Pascoe is not a man of his word.
Yeah. So I'm going to let you get. I'm going to have one more question for you. My final question is, have you submitted to the takeover?
I, Elias Theodorou, am so glad to submit to the takeover.
Elias, I want to thank you for spending time with us, speaking with us. I want to wish you luck from everyone here at the MMA Takeover, and welcome to the MMA Takeover family.
Pleasure's all mine. Thank you so much.
Ladies and gentlemen, that was our interview with UFC fighter Elias Theodorou. Make sure to check out his next fight against Brad Tavares at the Ultimate Fighter season finale on July 7th. You can also receive the best MMA coverage. Head over to our website, themmatatakeover.com. That's themmatatakeover.com. Also follow us on social media. We're on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, and YouTube. Thanks for listening.